Here we go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us for How To Tuesdays today. If you've never tried yoga, this is a wonderful opportunity to get in there and try on something new. My name is Leanna Henning. I come to you from Yellow Brick Yoga here in Lawrence, Kansas. And I have Lindsay Myers here with me. She recently completed her yoga teacher training, so we're super grateful for her to be here and to be sharing her practice with us. At Yellow Brick Yoga, we teach Baptiste-inspired yoga. And what this is a combination of meditation, asana, which is the portion of yoga that we're going to be doing today, and the work of inquiry. So asana, inquiry, and meditation, all these things kind of coming together as one. And so inquiry looks like, so maybe some self-evaluation, some turning inward to look at yourself, to see what's happening there. And one of the things that I like to ask students a lot is, what was your first yoga experience? What was that like for you? And so I just want to ask, in the spirit of inquiry, to Lindsay here to share with us a little bit about what the first time that she tried yoga. What was happening for you, Lindsay? Where were you? What was it like? Just share your story a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I was with my cousin in her bedroom practicing yoga. I was thrilled to do something new. But with something new comes a lot of like, I don't know if I'm doing this right, those type of things. So it was a nice, easy, relaxing flow. But when we got to Shavasana, I just kind of laid there and kind of popped back up like, am I doing this right? Are we done? I'm not sure. So it was just kind of all new to me and was wondering if I was doing it right. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Lindsay, for sharing her story. A lot of times I find that when we share our stories, when we hear from somebody else, we really realize that we're all connected, that we're not so much different from each other. And I find the number one thing that holds people back from coming into the studio and practicing with other people is fear. A fear of being seen, a fear of, just like Lindsay mentioned, am I doing this right? So today I want to break down a bit of that how-to for you. And one of the things that my teacher, Baron Baptiste, says is the answer to how is always yes. And the other thing that he always says is if you're in the now, if you're in the now, then you'll know how, right? So asana yoga, which is only one segment of yoga, one limb of yoga, asana yoga, which is what we tend to kind of focus on here in the West, is what we're going to be up to today. And yoga is the direct experience. So we want to be in that direct experience of doing the thing. We're going to start today on the mat in asana yoga. And we're going to start today in the pose of child's pose. So go ahead. All that you need to do in yoga is to have a body. Yes, it's really great to have a mat. Not everybody gets to have a mat. If you have one, awesome. Roll your mat out and come into child's pose. Take your knees out as wide as the mat. You can also take the knees a little wider. If this version doesn't support your body, you can bring the knees together. You can also grab a hold of some towels, some blankets, some straps, any types of props that you want to use in your practice that you can bring in. These are tools for your practice. So maybe you take a towel and you roll it up and you take it underneath the thighs to support the knees here. You can play with these postures. They are malleable, they're changeable, just like you are. And so bring your forehead center to the mat. And then let all the muscles in your face here just relax and soften. And seal your lips. And start to take the breath here just in and out through your nose. In today's practice, we're practicing Vinyasa Yoga. So we're in the practice of linking our movement with our breath. So beginning to notice the rise of the inhalation. Notice the pause at the top, and then noticing the exhalation and the pause at the bottom. So we're working here, starting to cultivate a breath practice that we call Ujjayi breathing, and we borrow this word from Sanskrit, Ujjayi. The literal translation is victorious breath. So if you've made it this far, victorious, you are. Right? Pull in and up through your belly. So take your navel and gently engage it up towards your spine. Almost like you're wearing a pair of tight pants. And then see if you can maintain that engagement as you continue to move the breath in and out through your nose. This is our first pose of integration, integrating the body, mind, breath. Spread out through your fingers. Feel the finger bones rooted down in towards the earth. And take a full breath in here now, just like a full body breath, pulling up through the pit of your belly. Pause there at the top. And do me a favor here, open your mouth and let all of the air empty. And at the very bottom, lift your hips up towards the sky. We're gonna move into tabletop position. So hands and knees close. Look at your wrists. Take your wrists and your hands out to shoulder width distance apart. Take your index fingers to face the very front edge of your mat. And then drive the index finger and thumb knuckles down in towards the earth. If this isn't possible, walk your index fingers outward a little bit farther. Let the upper arm bones wrap towards the front of your mat. And then pull up through your belly as your tailbone starts to drive back towards the back edge of your mat. So I just want you to feel here from the tailbone all the way up through the crown of your head, a nice long spine, supported by the engagement of your muscles. So as you lift up that pit of the belly, it's a lock there. As you draw the low ribs, you draw them in towards the mid-back space. Right, take one more here, breath in, feel your sternum, your heart reaching forward. And then just take a nice long exhalation out here. And as you ground down through your palms, lift your right leg and shoot it straight back behind you, flexing through the foot, and coming into an awareness of the space between your toes. So spread out a lot of space through your toes as you squeeze the muscles in towards the bones of the leg. Let the inner thigh muscle of the right leg start to spin in towards your tailbone, getting a sense here of the strength of the lower half of your body. Now pull in and up through the belly, finding length and spaciousness and strength. Take one more breath in here now, just fill up, express out in all directions, and then slowly release. Bring the right leg down and we'll change sides now. As you inhale, shoot the left leg back. So starting to just match your movement with your breath. This is yoga. Yoga, meaning union, a yoking, a joining. And so take that left pinky toe and start to rotate it down towards the earth. And then squeezing here, energetic through the legs. As you're creating length on every inhalation, you're extending through the crown of your head. Lindsay's doing such a great job. I hope you guys are starting to feel some heat building in your body. You want that, it's a tool. Right, take another breath in now. Lift everything up a little higher, fill up, good. And then slowly release. As you release, curl the back toes under. You can drop your head back and check out, see that your knees are just hip width distance apart and that your ankles are lined up with your knees, so you shouldn't see them at all. And now engaging through your belly, I want you to lift your knees just a little bit off the mat. So we're just starting to play here with the inversion of downward facing dog. Right, taking the upper arm bones back, driving the weight into the inner edges of the hands. Now engage your belly, take your tailbone straight up towards the sky, downward facing dog. And most of us have been, we've seen this pose, this shape before, making the body like an inverted V. Now, you can choose here to create as much space between your hands and your feet as you'd like. Lindsay, this isn't her first downward facing dog, so she's gonna walk her hands forward. She's gonna take up some more space, or maybe she'll walk her feet back. She'll take up more space between the hands and the feet. But you can always shorten the stance here to create a more grounded downward dog. Drop the weight of your head as you ground down into your foundation here, your hands and your feet. And then set your eyes to one non-moving point at the back edge of your mat. We call this drishti. Your drishti is your eye gaze. And notice here as you set your eyes to one steady focal point, you start to relax and soften into the now. If you're in the now, then you'll know how. And anytime that you need to take rest, just drop down to your knees, come right back into tabletop. Let yourself rest, take child's pose as you need it. and then come back. This is such a powerful pose. This is a really dynamic pose. It wakes up every single muscle in your body. I want you to draw your elbows in towards each other, and then let the tops of your shoulders slide down your back as you start to push your ribs away from your shoulder blades. See how that nice long lean? Good. You want to feel that length through your spine. Now take one more breath in. Send your tailbone straight up. Good. Legs, thighs, straight up. And then a nice long exhale here. Just empty your lungs all the air out. Now come up high onto your toes, right? Pressing in through the palms. Soften through your knees, and then look up, see where you're going. And you'll start to walk your feet up to your hands. And when you get to the top, let your feet come out hip width distance apart, 12 o'clock through the feet, drop opposite, or drop your head, and then take a hold of opposite elbow. We call this ragdoll pose. So make your body like a ragdoll. You can let your hips rock here, you can rock from side to side. You want to soften through the knees quite a bit so the joints are soft. Joints are soft. Muscles are contracted in towards the bones. So that's what we're up to in Vinyasa Yoga. We're stacking bone on top of bone. We're drawing the muscle in towards the center. So I want you to feel here the low belly muscles engaged in and up towards the spine. And together here in community. So exhale the air out. And now together, fill up, take a full breath in. There's a power in being here together. And now take a nice long exhalation out. Please drop your arms all the way down and towards the mat. Soften through your knees a whole lot. Bring your chin in towards your chest. And take a journey all the way up towards the sky. As you inhale, you're going to sweep the arms up. Take your eyes up to your fingertips as you spread out through the hands. Good. Rounding down through the feet. And then lengthening all the way up through your spine. Hug in, skin to muscle to bone. Take one more here, big breath in, reach up. Maybe you go a little back here. Maybe you invite in a back bend here. What's possible now? And as you exhale here, bring your hands together to your heart. Come up to stand and now fold forward, drop the weight of your head. Sun Salutation A. This is the beginning of learning yoga, learning these sun salutations. Starting here to refine and to renew breath by breath. Take a full breath in here. Take a long exhalation now. And as you inhale, we'll lift up to halfway. So press your palms into your shins. I want you to press to find length through your spine, lifting your heart forward. And now plant your hands into the earth. Step your feet back to a high plank or high push-up position. And high push up, your fingers are spread out wide, shoulder width distance apart. The toes are spread out wide. Again, this is a really powerful pose. If you like to modify here, I'm going to ask Lindsay to modify. Drop down to your knees. Everything else stays the same. So you can come back here anytime. Modifying with the knees down. And then Lindsay's strong, so I'm going to ask her to come back up into that high plank position. And you just grow this practice. Breath by breath. This was the pose for me where I really fell in love with yoga. This is the pose for me where I started to notice the chips that were on my shoulder and they started to melt away. So start to let some layers here peel away as you set your eyes, as you soften into your drishti, into your intention, into your why. Be in that inquiry. Right, now take a full breath in, pull in and up from your belly. As you exhale, I want you to shift the weight forward. So your heels come forward, your shoulders come forward. Then your elbows straight back, come down halfway for chaturanga. And now upward facing dog. Press your arms straight. Press into the tops of your feet. Lift your heart up. And come all the way back over your toes for downward facing dog. So this is where it gets fun. You can flip your feet if they're tighter through the ankles. Flip one foot over and then the other. Over time, as you cultivate flexibility through the tops of your feet, you'll be able to roll over your toes. And it gets easier as it goes, doesn't it, Lindsay? Yeah. In the beginning, when you're starting to learn, you have to think, right? So give yourself permission to be a beginner. And notice how you show up as a beginner. You're only a beginner once. What do you bring to now? If you're in the now, you'll know how. Right, take a full breath in here. Now full body breath, tailbone presses straight up towards the sky. Beautiful. And then a nice long exhalation out, really good. All right, lift up high onto your toes, bend the knees, look where you're going, and walk or hop down to the top of your mat, bringing the feet together. As you inhale, take a halfway lift, fill up to lengthen. And as you exhale here, fold forward, drop your head down. We're gonna do it again. Take mountain pose, root down to rise up, sweep the fingertips up, good, beautiful. And as you exhale here now, fold forward, drop the weight of your head down all the way. Halfway lift, inhale to lengthen your chest, your heart, and your eyes come forward. And now bend the knees, plant your hands, step back, high plank position, shift your heart forward, use your hands, bend the knees, low plank. I mean, you could drop down to your knees. And then upward facing dog here, lift through your chest, lift through your heart. So your thighs here will come up off the mat. And then downward facing dog now, go all the way back over the toes. And you can make a mistake and it's okay. You can come back, you always get to begin again. That's one of the other things that I love about this practice. Just being in the art of now. And being in the practice of listening. Listening here to your own breath, listening to your body. Right, take one more now, inhale, pull up from your belly, beautiful. And then nice long exhalation, empty, create a clearing. Now lift up high onto your toes, bend through the knees, gaze forward, step or jump your feet to your hands. And as you inhale, halfway lift, and then fold forward as you breathe out. We're gonna move into chair pose now, or Utkatasana, bending through the knees, just like you're gonna sit back into a chair. And now reach your fingertips up high in the sky. Really good. Look down at your feet for a second. So we wanna make sure that the knees are safe. So you should see the tops of your toes. Maybe you even see the tops of your feet as you start to take your shin bones and shift them back. And always happy in the pose. So notice the expression through your face. And so you can soften here through your face, even if you don't want to, soften through your face anyways. And then let your shoulders here just relax down your back, even more, relax, good. Take your upper arm bones back, spread out through the fingers. Good, take one more here now, inhale through the nose, good. Exhale now through the nose, and now fold forward, drop your head down all the way. Inhaling to halfway lift, lift and lengthen. We're gonna take that flow, high plank position, hands rooted, feet come back. Low plank or chaturanga, drop down to your knees if you like. Upward facing dog, now straighten through the arms, send the hips forward. And downward facing dog, now go all the way back over your toes. This is a fun part. Take a deep breath in here, fill up through your nose, and then open your mouth and sigh it out or scream it out. Yeah, you can do that. I do it again now. Authentically take a deep breath in, fill up, and authentically open your mouth and let the air go here, all air out. Awesome. Lower down into your knees now. You're gonna take both pose. So lift your ankles, cross them, or however you want to, get onto your seat. Take your hands behind you and shift the weight from side to side. You wanna feel your sit bones here, not your tailbone. So rooted right through the sit bones. Good, and now squeeze the inner thighs together. Lift your shin bones up, lift your feet up off the mat. So for some of you, this might be a really good place to stay. Awakening here through the entire abdominal wall. As you ground down through the sit bones, start to lift your chest and your heart forward, and then let the shoulder blades slide down your back. And you might stay here. And if your muscles start shaking and baking, that's really good. Yeah, you can smile at yourself, you can smile at your body. And maybe you stay here with the hands behind you. You can take your arms long alongside the body. I feel really powerful when I take my fingertips up high to the sky. So finding the expression that works for you, that speaks to you, that's really authentic to me is yoga. Right, take a full breath in now, lift your shin bones up and we'll stay here, being and breathing. 3, happy in the pose, building strength, stability here. 2, all right, now take one more breath, go for it. Find your fullest expression here. And as you exhale, slowly release. Woo, nice job. Cross the legs, plant the hands. Let's take a flow, high plank position. Pull the heart forward, chaturanga or low plank. Upward facing dog. Now lift from your chest and heart. And go back, downward facing dog. Maybe rolling over the toes, maybe one foot and then the other. Take a full breath in here, downward facing dog. And a nice long exhalation out. Drop down to your knees now. Lift your ankles up. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm gonna come into an arm balance here, crow pose. So crow pose, let's find deep squat first. So take your feet out wide, take your toes out, bring your heels in, and then bring your hands together at your heart. Now, if this is super challenging for you, there's a lot of things you can do. The best thing you can do is take some blocks or some books and stack them up underneath your seat and just sit on those blocks. I suggest doing your laundry like this, watching TV like this, getting used to being in a deep squat. This deep squat position will really inform all of your other poses. We're going to move into the pose of crow, Bakasana. And this is an opportunity to take an arm balance today, to really come into this trying on something new, the action of doing something new. So I'm going to take your eyes down towards the mat, and then take your hands down, shoulder width distance apart. Take the index fingers forward as we've been doing. And now start to take your sit bones straight up to the sky. You lift your heels up, and Lindsay's going to walk her feet up to where the knees will come into the backs of the armpits. Not the backs of the arm bones, not bone on bone, but bring the knee up into the armpit. Many of you will be working just to find this position to start off with. From here, start to bring your heart forward, moving the weight into your hands. Eyes come forward, and then Lindsay's gonna pick one leg off the mat. You can pick one leg off the mat, and then you could try on picking up the other leg, squeezing in towards that center line. Lifting the tailbone up high to the sky. Try on something new. Be bold here. All right, take another breath in. Lift up a little higher. And then as you exhale, come back into that beautiful deep squat. Take the feet out wide. Bring the hands back together to your heart. Take a full breath in here. Let it clear away all the air out. Breathe out. And now slowly release. You can drop down onto your seat. We're going to lie down onto the back, setting up for bridge pose. So as you find a reclined position, bend for your knees. Take your hands behind you alongside your body. And you want to feel your heels, just the tips of your heels with the tips of your fingers. Check that your knees are at hip width distance apart so you can look at your body and see where you are. Push all of the air out. And as you inhale now, take your tailbone, your hips straight up towards the sky for bridge pose. Chances are good you probably did this when you were a kid, right? So bring in that same energy, childlike wonder. Lindsay's smiling. This is a good thing to smile too. And maybe you keep pressing the arm bones down deeply. Or maybe you start to wrap your arms in towards each other, lifting the shoulders one and then the other. Eventually you'll come to bind the hands behind the back. This is also a great place to see what's possible. To be here now in your body, where you're at. I take a full breath in now, pressing through the legs. Take your tailbone up a little higher, nice. And then release your arms, come out wide, and start to make your way all the way down towards the mat. Take a full breath in here through the nose, and then a nice full exhalation out. We're gonna do it again, right? Repetition creates mastery. Ground down through your feet, and come up for your second bridge. Take your tailbone up high to the sky. Right, and if you bound the arms, if you bound the hands together the last time, just come right back to where you were. Letting the back of the neck stay neutral here. And starting to really create this back bend from the fire in your legs. And if you've lost your breath, it's always just coming back. Begin again. So what? You mess up, so what? Let go of the need to get it right. And be in the action of now. Right, take a full breath in, lift up from your heart, and then release. Take your arms out wide, start to make your way down. We'll take Supta Baddha Konasana. I want you to bring the bottoms of your feet together and then drop your knees out wide. Now you could support yourself here if you have pillows at home. You could slide pillows underneath your thighs here to support the legs. Take your hands into any expression that feels intuitively right. You can close down your seeing eyes here and let yourself just be and breathe. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. In the now. One of the beautiful byproducts of this practice. And what we're up to here is a really physical practice. One of the byproducts is presence. So feeling your whole physical body, from the soles of your feet pressing together to the tips of your fingers. Take a deep breath in here, filling up through the nose, pausing at the top. And then take a nice, beautiful exhalation out, emptying your lungs completely. Lift down your knees up towards the sky, and then give yourself a gentle squeeze. You could wrap your forearms around your shins, giving yourself a squeeze and a hug in. Now send your legs straight up to the sky for waterfall pose, or sometimes people call this legs up the wall pose at your mat. You can stay right here. If you have props handy, you can slide a block or a pillow underneath your hips to lift your hips up. You can also take two fists and then wrap up two fists and then start to walk them underneath your sit bones, lifting your hips up higher with your own body. Start to feel the weight of the legs here, the heaviness of the thighs. Take a deep breath in now, fill up. And then a nice, strong breath out. And slowly bring your knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a squeeze and a hug. And now lay out on the mat, finding Shavasana, what we call final resting pose. Let the legs come out long, the toes out, and the palms to face up. And here you can release your breath practice. You can allow yourself to be still. Be still. Be here now. And feel everything. Start to deepen your breath. Let your next inhale here come all the way up to the very top of your head here, revitalized, alive, whole, complete. You are. As you exhale, empty everything out. And together here in community, we'll take one final breath in, filling all the way up to the very top of your head with breath. Fill up, fill up, fill up, and then pause. And together here, let's open the mouth. Let it empty. Wiggle your fingers, your toes to start to wake up through your limbs. Rotate out through your wrists, through your ankles. Congratulating yourself, gratitude for yourself. It takes a lot of courage to show up on the mat, so good job. Lift your knees up in toward your chest, give yourself a squeeze and a hug, and acknowledge yourself for the work that you've done. And then rock over to your right hand side. We'll lift ourselves here up to an easy seat. And when we find an easy seat, it could be a cross-legged seat, you can sit on your shins, bring your hands together to meet your heart center. Close down your seeing eyes. We take a moment to honor all of those who've come before us, to allow us to share this practice here together. We acknowledge each other. And lastly, we acknowledge ourselves. Together, take a big breath in. And we bow to each other in love. We say namaste. Namaste. Thank you so much.